All right, yeah. Part two of this 3 months later. As I said, I put the first one up and then YouTube took it down, gave my channel a strike for spreading medical information, medical misinformation. Yeah, took the video down, struck my channel, and then randomly put the video back up 3 months later, which would be 90 days. So I'm guessing the strike's gone. So yeah, it's up, but from months ago. So yeah, but yeah, this is part two of Patrice on Alex Jones. Hopefully they don't take this one down for 3 months. But yeah, let's go.
Known comic, but also social commentary individual. HBO specials, Comedy Central specials, you name it, Patrice O'Neill, patriceo'neill.com. You got cut off. You were making the point about the hillbillies trying to stay out of the system. You know, to black folks, the way the media pushes it is, you know, anybody who lives in the country is basically a racist that wants to, you know, get you. And then you were saying, Alex, am I right that Waco really woke you up? And to a certain extent, that was the real trigger. So we were talking about that during the break. Please continue.
Yeah, I was just going to say that more black people should be into this globalization game, the idea of it. But it's whatever the news does in this country, it's to separate. If you look at history, anybody that tried to bring black and white people together got killed. You know, anybody who...
As soon as Malcolm X stopped saying Whitey's the devil, boom!
As soon as he thought, whoa, wait, maybe I'm wrong, get your hand on my pocket, he got killed. And, you know, Martin Luther King got killed.
Same deal.
JFK, black people love JFK.
Well, he was for real.
He got killed. Jesus, Gandhi, anybody who tries to bring people together for the right reasons, they get off, man. And
well, they're always bringing folks together against the corrupt elite.
And they get offed. So the thing is, when you keep me thinking, what do I care about having a gun? I can't have one. I got a conviction, so I can't have a gun anyway legally. So if you know, to the average black person in the street,
and that's why they want to get everybody into the system. Well, it's like this black guy up in Long Island. 25 MS-13s are rushing his house, and we're going to kill your kids. He shoots the gun in the ground.
And they were legal. His guns were legal.
And they arrested him. And the cops said, well, you could have killed him. It's like something out of Gran Torino. But
this is turning into like two people in a pub. Like even how Patrice is pointing. Yeah.
You couldn't shoot the gun in the ground to protect yourself.
He shot in the air, and they called it whatever they called it, man. This is why I tell a lot of people, like, a lot of people do have this thing about the police where they go, oh, you know, we have rights. The people, man, police have things that they can do to just take your... Look, disorderly conduct it ends all your ideas that you think you have rights. If a cop says move and you go, no, I have the right to be here, disorderly. That's basically destroys...
Or failure to follow an order.
Failure to follow.
So what's the next thing? Come to your house, knock, knock, I want you to go mow my yard. And you say no, you're
going to get... Exactly. A lot of police are stop. But this is what... The problem is, one of the problems, I fly a lot, you fly a lot. The people are supposed to be... our elite, the people who know how to have power over another person, meaning this... You have a physical presence. I have a physical presence. So you know what it's like to be respected just because you exist. A lot of people who have power never knew what it was like to be respected just because they exist. So if you get a lot of weak people who are now put into powerful positions, they're really, really corrupted by that.
Well, that's what I found. A lot of people who innately are powerful are embarrassed of exercising power, but these little nobody thugs, they are just loving it because they're weak. And that's what the system is made up of, is all these petty people, that it's a new class. They're above us. I flew with Jesse Ventura, and at the Atlanta airport, he's got a hip replacement. Mm-hmm. And I watched Ventura and mainly old folks that have hip replacements being searched. And Ventura said to me, that's why he wants to leave this country, period, because he said it's the act of domination and humiliation every time he flies, the pat down, putting their hands on him. And I was watching them do it to women. And you know, that's your personal space. It has nothing to do with terrorism, and it's dog training. They are training us to have somebody in our space, and and now they got the naked body scanners.
And the thing about the naked body scanners, I cause problems when I go to the airport. I always go to the airport 3 hours or 4 hours before I have to fly, just so I can see what rights I'm supposed to have. So L.A. was the first time I've seen the X-ray machines. You can say no to the X-ray machine.
But now they say, they admit they're phasing it in to make you.
Well, here's what they do.
Hold on.
They don't just say yeah.
Because there's so many things that have happened. But what Patrice said about physical presence, that reminds me of, like, this is going to sound crazy, but like old criminals in our country, because police used to be like former soldiers, or like, to be fair, everybody in this country was a former soldier at a certain point, but police tended to be former soldiers, and prison officers were former soldiers. Like, it was very military kind of influenced. And as crazy as this sounds, like, the criminals that went to prison under them and what it's like now, where just like anybody can get a job, they're like, the prisons aren't safe anymore. Back then they were strict and they was hard, but you kind of had a prisoner against screw. He's like, but once you've got a bunch of weaklings for screws that ain't gonna get involved, it makes the prisons, like, it's way more dangerous. People getting attacked and no one's hit, like, it's crazy. But yeah, the physical presence thing is because I'm big, I know what he means. You walk into, like, people don't tend to want to just mess with you. Do you know what I mean? But also, when you are like that, it does tend to make you kind of nicer, because you know you already have an intimidating stature, so you don't want people to kind of feel like that. So you kind of feel a way of being nicer. Like, yeah, if you're in a position of power, like, I know what he's saying. People that haven't had that their whole lives, they get into a position of authority and then they just abuse it because they've never had that respect by just being. Yeah, I get it.
Like you now, but what they do is they make life so miserable if you don't, that you think about doing it. Now, I said, look, I don't take anything off that I don't have to. You have to take your shoes off. You have to take your coat off. I don't take anything.
Which is another act of submission.
Submission. I don't take my jewelry off and my hat. You can keep your hat on if you want to. You can keep on your belt if you want to. But you have to choose to take that check, right? Now, what they did is when I said no to the X-ray machine, all my stuff was going through. So there's thousands of people's stuff on top of my computer, on top of my clothes, on the floor, and they keep me on the side to make life really miserable so that I go, okay, next time I'm going to go through because I don't want my computer to be over there by itself. But I'm like, look, I'm not going to, anything that I can do to keep a hold of the fact that I have a little bit of dignity, I'm going to keep a hold of it.
But here's the good news. You're resisting. First, they lied and said they weren't saving the images. Then now they admit they're saving them all. They're going in courthouses, state and federal, mobile vans, high-powered ones that the government bought 500 that beam your house.
Right.
It's admitted it causes cancer. That's how insane it is. 15 years ago, the Army admitted DU will kill you deader than a hammer. Now they tell the troops it isn't bad for you, use it, and they're dying, and they just say, hey, go ahead and die. So they're setting the precedent, but now because of the protest and people saying no, they're claiming, oh, we've got a computer that computerizes your image and covers up your genitals. First they lied and said it didn't show them, and so it's just an image of a man with a baseball cap, and then the computer with AI technology is going to tell them what area to supposedly search, but we know that's a lie. They're still saving the image. They just do this digital overlay over it. But the point is, we're going to defeat those naked body scanners because almost everybody I know just isn't traveling now, and it's bankrupting the airlines. That's why they're having to come out now and start to back off. And it's because of the people that they have in charge. If we had elite, like I watch on tapes them Mujahideen. They out practicing how to shoot two M16s with two pistols, shooting apples off of things. Like, when I watch them, I go, "Woof! Those dudes are trying to kill me." Now, I look at who we have as supposed to be our protectors. It's a mess. The airports, the police, they're just a mess. Sometimes when you get a small lady cop, I'm telling you, and I'm being honest, you get a small lady cop who talks to me. They've got a Napoleon complex.
I say, look, miss, You got to understand, I respect the law. But if you arrested me, you should say thank you to me for allowing you to. Because you can't arrest me.
That being said, men is the same. If people haven't seen it, there's a video on my channel of me getting handcuffed by police. I actually got their body cam footage. And, well, two things that Patrice said I can talk about with that. But, yeah, the boy, and he was a boy. He was like 26 or something. And he got out of the car and just, well, he walked up, said something, and then just literally clicked handcuffs on me. So then I started like kicking off, but like I'm not an idiot. Like he said, I respect the law. So I was like, go on then. But he got abused because, like he said, I knew at that point, even though they didn't admit any wrong, that's what do they call it? Restraint. There's a word for it that they use. But yeah, and there was no need to do it. I wasn't aggressive. There was no need to do it whatsoever. But the only reason he did it was because he was a little melt. Do you know what I mean? He was a little idiot that shouldn't have that job because he got out the car. I'm 2 feet taller than him, and he was scared. But that was the worst thing because if it wasn't someone like me who was just gonna go on then, you div. That's literally what I was like. Go on then, you div, and I just abused him, and I didn't give him my name because I knew at that point you have now done something you shouldn't have, and I've not done anything wrong, and you're not going to find anything on me. So I knew, like, yeah, you're going to get it. So they did get a bit of abuse, but if it weren't, yeah, there was a policeman that came after because he even called for backup, little Mel, and the other policeman that turned up, there's no way he would have handcuffed me. As soon as he got out, you could see the difference in him. Like, you could see the difference in the other policeman. Like, he was a serious policeman, do you know what I mean? And he looked for 2 seconds and just got back in his car and drove off. Like, he just saw that matey had just dropped the bollock here by handcuffing me. But the only reason he did it was because I'm bigger than him and scared. But like I say, there's people round there because he put it on one arm that I could have resisted. I could have beat him and his mate. I'm not boasting and saying I'm tough because I'm not tough, but there is no doubt in my mind I could have beat him. He was a little old Chinese man he was with, or a little old Asian man, and this young lad. And yeah, other people from around here would have battered him because he had it on one wrist first, and I had to put my hands behind my back for him. Like, he wasn't trying to. He just clicked one and then just kind of stood there. I was like, go on then, you fucking idiot. Go on, handcuff me. And, yeah. He done that whole thing wrong because someone else would have just beat the life out of the pair of them and nicked his car. Like, for real. Like, he was lucky that it was me that he stopped someone who was going to, like, do you know what I mean? I ain't doing that. But yeah. Yeah. But yeah, Patrice is right. The physical presence and having that your whole life does tend to make you a nicer person because you don't want to intimidate people. So you kind of naturally are more friendly and smiley, and you don't really have as much to prove because people already, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, let's go.
About my respect for the law in general. So when you come at me with this angry, forceful thing, you got to understand, I'm a person to person. If you wasn't a cop, you wouldn't be talking to me like this. I like cops who can arrest me if they weren't a cop. Like, I go, all right, sir, let's talk about it. And usually those guys are nicer people. But when you get a punk who's now got some kind of weird power where they think they are the law as opposed to their...
No, that's what I've noticed. If you've got some big giant cop with arms, you know, that are huge, they're really nice. It's always the little guy.
Because it's a bad place to put them in that pop. But maybe, like you said, it's planned. But all of this stuff is planned, and that's why I'm like going back to the...
No, they admit they're psychologically profiling, and now, first it was don't hire a cop over 100 IQ. Now they're wanting them with 90 IQs. So they're just dumber than a box of rocks on a power trip, and somebody who had a little bit of dignity and a little bit of prowess, they would be embarrassed
to be this person. And that's real. And that's the thing. When I go back to the black and white thing, man, I don't want people to think, oh, white people. I'm saying that as I'm becoming informed, I can understand why black people, because I'm still not removed from black folks. I understand why more black people aren't involved. You can see.
But you're outside the box now. See, you've broken your paradigm, so you can look at it as a third party from outside to clearly make decisions from an unemotional perspective. But going back to gun laws, the first gun laws were passed after the Civil War in the South against black people. So then how do black folks then support the Democratic Party who says, you know, we're going to take your guns away from you or throw you in jail if you try to have a gun to protect yourself? And again, so the Republican Party, it will promote part of your rights, but try to take away the other part. The Democrats try to give you the other rights the Republicans don't want to give you, but try to take away the other rights. And between the two parties, you've lost them all.
But a lot of people, Alex, that don't understand the idea of having a gun. A lot of black people don't understand what the idea is. They think it's to keep some gangs out your house. It's to protect you from a dictatorship, a overthrow.
Well, it does both, yeah.
It does both, but the idea mostly for a black person in a bad neighborhood is that, and then there's some white people who don't know what the right to have a gun is. A lot of white people think the right to have a gun means I have the right to have one. It's you have one to protect yourself from things. To protect.
Well, I mean, bottom line, if a lion has had his teeth taken out and his claws declawed,
right,
that is a domesticated, defanged, declawed creature.
Right.
A free man or woman has the right to own guns. I mean, it goes back 200 years ago to blacks not being able to even own a knife. It goes back to Rome. I mean, if you read...
See, this is a very American thing, the gun thing. But I saw an ex-criminal, I think it was Darren G, ex-Liverpool criminal. But he had the best quote with gun laws. Because I was starting to get to a point where I think we should have guns here. But yeah. An ex-criminal from here, he said, yeah, although you can get guns in this country, I think England was like the gun capital of Europe. Gunchester, Manchester, it's called Gunchester. So it ain't like we ain't got guns and you can't get hold of guns, but it's not legal, and it's not like if you get caught with it, you're going to prison for 5 years minimum. Do you know what I mean? That's why no one really wants to carry a gun or anything like that in this country, because you're going to prison. But yeah, Darren G says, talking to the Americans, he's like, "You're lucky you've got guns. We're lucky we don't." And it's so true, because you look at our country, and to be fair, I don't know. That's why I kind of don't understand why we shouldn't have guns. If you take away a gun, people just find other things to kill each other with. And like I say, you can still get guns, but like it's basically like medieval days again. You got boys that are like 14 going around with machetes that are the same size as them, and you'll see videos of like 40 man machete mass brawl in a town centre in London or Liverpool or Manchester. But then it's not just in this country, it's in America, it's in Australia, I've no doubt it's in Canada, it's everywhere, that kind of postcode. But like I say, the weaponry's different, because guns aren't as easy to get here, they cost a bit. But yeah, you can get a hold of machetes and swords. Like, I'm not joking. You see, when I say boys have machetes that's the same size as them, I'm not joking. It's like you're ineffective with that anyway, because it's way too. But yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like it makes you think, why not have guns here? Because if you take away guns, then people are just gonna find something out. Like let's say if they really crack down on knives somehow, which I don't know how, because you can order them from Amazon, but you just get kitchen blades. But it'd just be something else. Like in our country, people smash. Like, we're one of the only countries in the world where at events you don't get a glass, you get plastic. And the reason is because English people can't be trusted, because that glass will just go smashed in. That's what it's calling, glassing someone. You smash it in their face. So yeah, anything can be used as a weapon. And if someone wants to kill someone bad enough, they're going to do it. By hook or by crook, gun or not. But yeah, hold on 2 seconds. I need more coffee. Yeah, let's finish this. Let's go.
The actual history books written by Julius Caesar and others, when they rolled into Germany and rolled into Austria and rolled into other countries, rolled into England, which was Albion at the time, the first thing they did was they took the women and children, they killed most of the men, and they disarmed everybody. So it's very elementary. Any country you look at where the people aren't armed, you're going to have an out-of-control government. So it's a check and a balance. It's real simple. It's like a fish out of water. It's gonna die.
Doing it ourselves, though. That's the thing. That's my problem. Is that we're doing the average person is doing it. It's not like they're coming and really taking anything from you. They're putting us in a position to be afraid and say, please come protect me. And here's how we're going to protect you. Give me your gun. Let me have a gun, and I'll fix everything. We believe that the government...
Yeah, that's like the mafia. Can you imagine, the mafia says, pay me protection money or I'll burn down your grocery store. It's the same thing. The government says, you're not allowed to protect yourself. We'll do it for you, but then if we don't show up on time with the 911 call, sorry, no liability.
Right. But it's... At the level you're at, it's just too easy to think like that. It's the level of these people walking around. I mean, right now, you're a shepherd, and there's, you got the Glenn Becks and you got everybody that's out here fighting. They're shepherds. And right now, it's a lot of sheep just deciding on what shepherd they're going to follow.
But I think that's my number one message. Don't be a sheep. Be your own leader.
That seems elementary, but I know a lot of people that don't. My girl, she needs me to even disagree with something. She needs me to have a point so that she can have a point. You understand what I'm saying? Meaning she don't just go, here's what I think. She waits to see what I think, and then she either agrees with it or don't agree with it. That's most people. They're not looking to go, you know what, I'm going to start something myself.
No, they're spectators. You're right. Yeah. You have to bring up a point to even get them to even begin to realize that there is a spectrum of ideas. Right.
And they won't, they just wait for you to say something and either go, he's crazy, or I love this guy. They're not trying to unfold. That's why I said again, the reason I enjoy your tapes is because you'll do a lot of stuff to say, look, don't listen to me. Go over here. I read this thing about Henry Kissinger. I forgot what it was, but it was a blueprint on how to destroy governments and kill the people.
State Department Memorandum 200.
It was shocking. And I'm going, it's real. I'm not listening to Alex Jones or Alan Watt or whoever. I'm listening. They tell you to go do things. And I'm like, it exists. People aren't.
No, that's the thing is I had ABC News here, a Nightline, and they would say, you think the government wants to reduce population. And I literally played them video clips of world leaders. I gave them all the I said, and they wouldn't even look. They'd laugh at me. And they realized that most people are sheep. So as long as they just laugh and never in the piece let me show them any proof,
right?
It's just, oh, it's this guy's opinion, so do you choose to believe him? And they kept asking me, do you really believe this? Do you really believe this? And I said, of course I believe it. I know it's true. And then they went further on the show. They said, we don't even think Alex Jones believes this. And for somebody who's awake, that's ineffective and looks ridiculous. But you're right, Patrice. They're targeting people who aren't going to look into this. They're just going to think this guy's making it up.
But that's what I'm saying. To expose. You watched the Bohemian Grove. I heard a guy, I forgot his name. He was talking about the Bohemian Grove. He goes, look, in the least, the fact that your leaders are dressing in crazy hoods and burning owls. Doesn't that bother you to some? Just on us.
That is one of the, I think I've said it before. That's one of the scary, and that's Alex Jones. I didn't even know who he was, But I remember watching that, and I remember getting into conspiracies. Like someone older got me into conspiracies. Look at this, watch this. Do you know what I mean? And then I started going down the rabbit hole. But that Bohemian Grove footage was one of the first things where I remember being genuinely scared. Like, it's scary because it's like, it's like, what are you doing? Like, they do actually dress up in robes and go and do ceremonies in the woods, and these are all leaders of industry and leaders of men, and you go, what? Yeah.
Certain human level. So you don't need to go to the stratosphere. All you got to do is go, yeah, that does bother me, and then move on.
Patrice, stay there. This is amazing. He'll be with us on the other side.
Yeah.
Patrice O'Neill, so many other...
Like I say, it's so true. What you just said was me. I've watched a lot of crazy shit. That being up there with the craziest. That and the CERN, the ceremony outside CERN, and the fact that they actually claimed it like a... Yeah, I don't even know that's what the company's called. But anyway, that's creepy as hell too, but it's a similar thing, rituals and in hoods and that. But then you have that hit you and go, what is, like, what? And then you just have to just carry on like that. Like, just didn't happen in your life. And yeah.
Issues to discuss. There is an awakening happening out there, and that's why they put these fake leaders out like Obama and then whatever the next right-wing leader is going to be. And my point is, we are so far down this line. They're building this domestic control grid that is designed for we the people. We had better wake up and come together now for the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, for the Second Amendment, or it's over.
Well, I don't think it could be done without our help. I mean, that's what I'm saying about, I believe, wholeheartely in this idea of an Illuminati, of a new world order, of the banking system. But it's the more people I meet and the more people that don't care. I think, to me, if I had a crusade, it would be to figure out, how do you get the average person to I mean, I know the banking system opened my mind. That is what was the most important thing. If somebody came at me and said, hey, look, they're trying to get the world down to 500,000 people. There's some people that just want to kill everybody and get it down to 500,000 people and control them. I'm like, okay, whatever. It sounds good. But when somebody just says the bank is private and the government borrows money and to pay them back, or the idea of the gold standard. Didn't know what it was, didn't care what it was. Once I understood why gold exists, I'm going, now it doesn't. We're not on the gold standard now. We're on the debt standard. The fact that I owe money means that we have money. It's shocking to me. Then if I know they can do that, I move to the next thing and the next thing, and then I go, oh, man. And as a comic, it slows me down. So I'm trying to, because I know Bill Hicks, man, he was open. He was open to it all. And when you're open to it all, it could drive you insane with wanting to put the information out. But I've learned how to throw it in a little bit.
That's true with our country as well. I saw he actually ended up dying mysteriously. Died found in a hotel room with a plastic bag over his head. But yeah, he was saying how go into the Bank of England, because on our money it says I promise to pay the bearer the sum of whatever the sum of the money is. So if it's £10, £20, but he's like, £20 of what? £5 of what? £10 of what? Gold, frankincense, myrrh, what? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's meant to be gold. He's like, but if you go into the Bank of England with a £20 note and go, here, exchanged gold, he's like, they'll look at you like, what? Ain't no gold here. Like, there's no gold. He's like, yeah. He's like, do it. Take that £20 note, and that £20 note is a token for gold. I'm guessing £20 of gold. That's what that's. So £20 of gold can just about get you 2 beers in this country. But yeah, it's the same with our country. It's money was real when it was, like you say, tokens for gold. Gold, like it's symbolic of that value in gold. But now there's no gold behind the money. Then you can do whatever you like. They can do whatever they want with it.
And laugh, and then hopefully, if I throw a little info out and a person laughs, it's like when you say go look at HR this and go look at the executive order that. It just maybe they'll go look, and it'll open their mind, and then they can go. But the fact of dealing with people, man, people are not doing the right thing when it comes to this, man. There's a couple of people out there, and when I say a couple, if 1 million people are into it, that's not enough, man. That's just not enough. They can round up 1 million people easy, but we need 50 million, 60
No,
million.
you're right. It is a life and death situation.
It's always why there's a middle class, like in our country. Like, I'm working class. America doesn't have working class. Your middle class is considered the working class. Like, you have lower and upper middle class. You don't really have a working class. Whereas here we have a working class, middle class, upper class. But the way it was explained as well to me was the upper class is here to have all the money. The middle class is here to pay all the taxes. And the working class is there to scare the middle class into keep paying the taxes. Because they don't want to end up being like us. But it's like true, like, yeah. Yeah.
To wake up as many people. I mean, individuals who wake up and get really informed, they need to understand they've got a responsibility now to reach out to others. And the system before could just deny and say we were liars. Now they try to come out and go, okay, we lied about global warming, but the UN said this 2 days ago, but it's about population reduction, so we've got to do this. So, or the CIA comes out and says, okay, we did put out fake bin Laden videos. Okay, we are growing the opium. They're trying to really steal our thunder and just kind of put it out there in our face.
It's because it's too late. At 500 million bad eggs. I'm going, who? I said, do you hear that? 500 million bad eggs. And you go, and when I say to people, it's because a lot of people didn't take the the vaccine that they had to grow in the eggs. So they're like, hey, since they didn't take them, let's just put them back out. People dropping dead from the vaccine eggs that they, you had to grow the H1N1 inside the eggs, and it's just like it didn't work. So now they just got these eggs sitting around, and they try to put them out there. Those eggs are now poison. Now they got to figure out salmonella. I'm like, look, there's no way 500 million eggs got salmonella poisoning in it, but people go, well, that's what they told me. And I go,
Patrice, stay there. We're going to do...
Yeah, that's another thing I was going to say about the class system here as well, is that the middle class, what was I going to say? What did he just say? It's literally just gone from my brain again. Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say, where he said even if you have 1 million people wake up, that's not enough. But that's as well why you have a middle class, is because there's enough people that are happy with their lot that they're not going to rebel. Because really, rebellions and people overthrowing governments happens when the tables turn when there's way too many in this living a shit life. Then, do you know what I mean? That's when people start to wake up and revolt. But as long as you have a middle class and people that are kind of happy and feel like they're a bit better than the working class, and you have the working class people thinking, oh, maybe one day I'll be able to, do you know what I mean, not be working my fingers to the bone every day. Or maybe I'll be able to start a company and get out. So the middle class gives something for the working class to aspire to become, and that like you can get money, and yeah, the middle class are happy with their lot, because their life isn't as shit as the working class. But yeah, but also, yeah, it doesn't matter how many, and kind of people have to wake up in their own way. and it can be anything. One guy, that same guy I was on about from the UK who died with a bag over his head, his was watching 9/11, and he said, I don't know whether the person filming was in the building or in the building next to it, but he said on one bit of footage he watched before the plane hit, like just before the plane hit, the camera shook, like the building shook that the person was in. It's like, which said to me there had to be an explosion in there, because how, if the plane hadn't hit yet, what would have caused the camera to shake? That was all it took for him to start looking deeper and deeper. And it can be something just small where it just makes you question. It just makes you go, huh? Yeah.
More minutes. We're back in 70 seconds. It's been an amazing interview with nationally known comedian Patrice O'Neill, and we got 5 more minutes with him, and I wanted to get into the Quran situation. I'm going to get into this after he leaves us, then Richard Gage is coming on, but bottom line, I defended the right of that mosque to be built down there 2 blocks from Ground Zero. But I also don't agree with him, but I agree with his right for that preacher to burn the Quran. And the fact now that they're in the Middle East, they're burning Bibles and things. You know, the issue is, if you don't like the United States, that you can burn a Bible, you can burn a Quran, you can burn an American flag. I think that's disrespectful and bad on every front. I'm not looking to insult people. But now that this guy's maybe saying he's going to back off, and the media has been talking about maybe it should be illegal to burn a Quran, well, then First Amendment's gone. Patrice O'Neill.
I agree with the fact that you do have your right to do things, but there is tact. And I'm gonna tell you, burning a Quran, and this is my thing about burning a Quran and burning a Bible and whatever. It's burning their God. That's the thing that bothers me. It's that, look, and it goes again to the lying in this country. No one has a problem with Islam. It itself. I mean, Farrakhan is Muslim, so no one would burn a Quran to demonstrate that they hate Louis Farrakhan, because he's genuine American. Whether people agree with him or not, you know he's American. People don't have a problem with Islam. They have a problem with Arabs. And no one wants to say that they don't like Arabs in this country. It's not about the Bible and the Quran. It's about those people in this country. Let me tell you, I agree. I believe this. Arabs have not yet gone through what everyone else has gone through in this country to be certified American. You go through some foulness for people to go, whew, they're American. Japanese did it. Chinese did it. Blacks did it. Irish did it. Everyone's done it except for Arabs. And there is no, and here's the thing. Everyone who does bad in their particular group has another part of their group who condemns things that they do that are wrong. Arabs don't have, and maybe it's the news.
This is crazy. I literally said exactly this in the Andrew Tate versus George Galloway thing about Islam. That Islam didn't, well, I said that it was that they wasn't forced to assimilate in Britain, whereas the Africans, Indians, Jamaicans, they had no choice but to assimilate. Right? They had no choice. But with the Muslims, they did. Literally, I said this, and also I said about there doesn't seem to be a big group of Muslims calling out all the horrendous shit other Muslims do, which is another big problem. Literally, that's crazy. I said exactly the same thing. Yeah, watch it, Andrew Tate versus George Galloway. But yeah.
That's doing it. But you don't see enough Arabs that go, what these Arabs are doing is wrong. You ask an Arab, hey, what do you think about 9/11? It's like, well, when you're pushed to do things, you have to go through. It's like, nah, just say flying planes in the buildings might be wrong. Just say, don't give me an excuse of why people got to die. Just say, look, blowing up this guy might not be the right thing. I don't think enough Arabs are vocal enough against the ones that are just doing bad stuff to make everybody else go, okay, there's a right Arab and a wrong Arab. But that's for basic anything.
But, I mean, we're almost out of time, Patrice. What about the issue of, I've supported the property rights issue with the mosque and been criticized, because if you take away their right then nobody's got a right. But at the same time, I didn't know what to really think about this preacher and all of this, and I think it's being used by the media to create division. Yep. But now, if he does back off, you can burn anything you want but a Koran.
But let's be honest. Building that mosque, you have the right to do it. Don't do it. Don't do it just because of the sentiment. Don't burn Qurans because it's burning someone's God. Billions.
Well, I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't like it. But at the same time, the First Amendment is the heart of this country.
Have the right. But, sir, Mr. Guy, the preacher in Gainesville, don't do it.
But if you don't exercise a right, you lose it.
He didn't need to even open his mouth to exercise it. Just like the mosque. You can build it 8 blocks away where people go, okay, you're going to build it 2 to exercise your right. I'm not crazy. You're not exercising a right because you could exercise your right to be decent to the people who are going to lose it and cause problems.
Very interesting. Patrice O'Neal, thank you for spending time with us. He'll be, you bet, he'll be tonight and Saturday, Cap City Comedy Club. Find out more at patriceoneal.com. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.tv.
Yeah, I remember that at the end, what he was saying. Yeah. Like I said, I don't have a problem with Islam. I know Muslims and all that jazz. But, yeah, I remember when that come about, the building a mosque on Ground Zero, on where the towers got knocked down. That was like... That's what I've said before as well, that it seems to be a deliberate provoking of people to then go, you're racist. But that is an affront to the people that lost their lives, like to build a mosque. And like I say, it's okay that you can be Muslim in America, but like Patrice said, just because you can do something, it doesn't mean you should. Although it's 2 blocks away. The way I remember it was that they actually wanted to build it on Ground Zero, which that's crazy. It's like you are just literally asking for people to kick off, and that's what it would be. You're having it at the moment. You're having it at the moment with in our country with riots, and they're being deemed as far right riots, far right extremists. They're not far right extremists, they're English people that are sick of it. It's happening in Ireland too, it's got everywhere. But if you look at the papers, you would think there's a far right mob going around Britain, but it's not far right, it's English people that are just sick of it. And like Patrice said, like I said in that video, it's not because there's English Muslims. It's not so much them. It is the ones from other countries. And to be fair, as well to the Muslims, is like people have the impression that Muslims are kind of they've been kind of put out of their land. But it's actually the opposite. A lot of Muslims come from a place where Islam is the dominant law. And the chances are most people, well, in fact, everybody they've ever encountered in their life is Muslim. There is no, like they have Jews, but Jews are second-class citizens in Muslim countries. So it's like they come here and they've never experienced someone to have a culture that's not what theirs is. Like, yeah, I saw a Muslim that come from over there, like, I don't know if it was a podcast or it was on the news or something. It's actually quite fascinating. But yeah, he was explaining, saying that like English people seem to have this idea that, oh, these poor Arabs that are kind of refugees. He's like, but it's not that case. Most of these Arabs that are coming from the Middle East are coming from countries where their religion is the dominant law. It's the law of the land. And everybody they meet is the same culture, is the same as them, to the point they don't know nothing else. They don't know of like other things. So yeah, it's a culture shock for when they come here, because they, do you know what I mean? Here, if you go to London, London is just a multicultural hub, and you've got Jamaicans. Like if you walk down, say like Camden, you go to Camden, you go to like to the food places. You'd never starve in London, but you got Jamaicans, you got the Chinese, you got Indians, you got Korean, you've got, do you know what I mean? Like African, you got just about every type of food from around the world you can possibly, Italians, like, yeah. But other countries aren't quite like that, where it's that. But then to be fair, saying that, there's places in this country that aren't quite like that. There are places in this country where there is just English people, and that's pretty much all day though. Like most of them would probably faint if a black person walked down the street, because they just don't see it. Like, but that's hard for me to even believe, because I live London, so it's like, yeah. But yeah, no, yeah, this was great. I'll try and see if there's another Patrice on Alex Jones. Also, request more Patrice, because yeah, I'm kind of a bit stuck on what Patrice to do next. But anyway, yeah, that's the reaction. Sweet.